So, is the mic okay? Great. So let's start, right? We're just a few minutes behind 1 o'clock. I have the privilege here to start and kick off this event today. And my name is Johan Blaus. I work on a daily basis with collaboration and partnerships at the KTH and was involved last year in this event and also met with the city of Valencia earlier this year, I think. And we have an interesting program where we take part of the presentations from the teams. And I mean, the timing is very good for this, this theme now when we have the energy crisis, not only in Sweden, but in Europe in whole. So maybe we will have some ideas to tackle some of the challenges due to the energy crisis. So I will start with a short introduction, and then Per Lundqvist will follow, and then Hatef will introduce the course, and then we will have the main thing of the whole event to take part of the presentations. And yes. Yeah. So very, very short here. We are at KTH, as you all know, and we are pretty close situated to the city in Stockholm. And I will have a few words from a representative from the city of Stockholm soon, but we are collaborating a lot with the city of Stockholm. And this is an interesting situation we have on this main campus, pretty close to the city core and very close to the Stockholm University and Karolinska Institute, where we are developing our collaboration as well as a university alliance. We have four more other campuses in the region. I will not get into that in detail today. As I said, myself, I work a lot with partnerships, and we have a program with strategic partners, 10 companies. You recognize most of them, I hope. And the public sector is really important in this context with partnerships. And we have the city of Stockholm, and we have the region of Stockholm. And we have those two, the whole program started 2011, and those two public sector were introduced 2014, and had been very interesting to develop that relationship. And we have a few research institutes as well. So the partnerships is important for KTH to develop our university and both research and education. So why did we establish partnerships with the city of Stockholm and the region of Stockholm? It was a clear policy development in the society as a whole, not least in Europe. We had this whole development with societal challenges, and nowadays we have the SDGs. And policy-wise, Sweden was really important to have this land declaration that was very instrumental for the Horizon 2020 program and now the Horizon Europe. And we have much national policies. And also in the city of Stockholm, especially, they had future-oriented investigation for a period of time that was very clear that they had societal challenges that is really relevant for KTH to take on. And this is also stated in our vision and development plan that we should tackle the societal challenges. And then, of course, the public sector organizations are really important. And again, the SDGs pushing and the role of technology in that context. And of course, when you have this policy development, it's strengthening our possibilities to attract funding. And not least, it's a real push from the students. I think Per usually say that it's one pretty big share of the students choose to study here because we are focused on the sustainable development. So this is the reason why. And it's also an exciting ecosystem we are in. This is the ecosystem of Stockholm for Innovation, and we are very high on the ranking on innovation. So this is the context where we are and why we are pushing this agenda with partnerships. So with that, I just ask Karin to say some words from the city of Stockholm. Karin is the director for innovation at the city of Stockholm.
Hello, everyone. Nice to see you here, and welcome to Stockholm. And I work with innovation and in a close collaboration with our city partner. Oh, it was this difficult thing for me to just push one button once. Exactly. Is it on now? Okay. It's too difficult for an economist. Anyway, welcome to Stockholm and welcome to our partnership program challenge, one of many challenges that we have within the city. And we like to work close with partners to solve all our issues that we have. And we have an overarching vision for Stockholm in the future, 2040, to achieve all the sustainability goals, and we are committed to the agenda to 2030 and all the SDGs there. And one of our really strong benefits are our collaboration with the university, with the Royal Institute of Technology and the industry. So we are really grateful for that, and you help us to solve many of our problems. And I'm really excited about your projects and listening to you on this afternoon. And we're going to be here. I think my colleague is here as well, and we're going to listen closely to what you are presenting. Maybe we have some solutions to our energy problems, because winter is coming, although it's autumn and fall right now. Okay, so good luck with your presentations, and see you later.
Thank you, Karin. Now it's Per Lundqvist. And the topic is sustainability in teaching, but you have a more specified topic here.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you, Hatef. And hello again, dear students. Mina, nice to see you. Complex problems need different methods. So I would talk to you now on as not as the teacher in the course you had way back, but as a Vice Rector for Sustainability at KTH, we really think it's important to think in new ways also, how we actually learn things or teach things and so on. So I have an ambitious title, so unconventional learning is not defined, so maybe we will try that. And anyway, so what is it? What is unconventional learning? There are many attempts and proposals during time. So it's actually even an example of challenge-driven education. We start with something and we don't really know how to solve it. And there are many synonyms for unconventional, unorthodox, unusual, offbeat, eccentric, bizarre. I don't know what you put down in your course evaluation for Hatef about the course, which one you would like to use from this. But we think at least we try to do things in a little bit different way. So this one is not active, so don't try to go into Menti. But this is an example of challenge-driven project in other European universities. It's kind of funny. It's the amphibious bicycle house. So so we can choose whether we want to do this kind of project or whether we like to solve problems together with society and the city. So then we will probably not come up with this one, which could be fun. But then what we are aiming at is something that actually speaks to our partners at KTH. So if I try to define this first attempt, unconventional learning, we should have teachers that challenge the prevailing paradigm. We should use alternative methods. We should different types of examination. We should have unexpected content. We should work challenge-driven versus idea-driven, meaning that we start with the problem rather than something that we would like to see what we can use it for. It should also be multidisciplinary in a sense, even more maybe than we can do, but we should also allow students from different programs to meet in a much bigger, and it should challenge, time and place and so forth. So, and of course, we can expect different outcomes. So this is kind of a process where we have been crashing many times. And maybe the project outcome may appear a bit strange, like this sign here on the road here. But we do our best, and we try, and we learn when we try. So last slide. In the old days, engineering education was books and classic courses. The problems were reduced, they were pure, they were given, and the teachers had all the answers. We focused on the design, and it was an individual effort. We didn't work together, and it was all done inside university. Now, unconventional, but maybe what we try to do now is we think in systems. All the problems go across disciplines, they're complex, they're also ill-defined, and they contain environmental, societal, and business, always economy. And you have to deal with the entire cycle of the problem. You have to conceive it, you have to design it, you have to implement it, and you have to operate it. And it's all about teamwork and communication, and it's together with society and industry. So with that, I think we should move on to presentations, right, Ate? Yes. No, okay, Ate will explain more. But anyways, I think this is what we do, and we need more examples of it. So thank you, Ate.
Thank you, Per. And now over to the course responsible, Atef, to introduce before the presentations of the projects. Please, Atef.
Thanks, Jon, and thanks, Per.
Where is your microphone?
Yeah, exactly. I'm not using it.
Is it green light?
Now, it should work. I'm representing the teaching team. So I'm Hatef Madani. I'm associate professor at ETH and then course responsible and examiner of the course. But we have, most of you know the whole teaching team. There's we have Nelson Sommerfeld. He's joining via Zoom. He's in up north. Francisco is here. And Per was the founder of the course and then designed it in this nice way. Then we continued. Basically, what the course is about, broadening the students' ability to cope with analytic and strategic issues related to energy systems and management through system thinking and modeling. The funny thing is that it's when we were talking about all those words and buzzwords and so on, a few years back there was not so much interest in the society. Now we go to the family parties, and then everybody asks about those things. How to manage the energy, as Johan said. So that's quite hot topic now in society. And then when it comes to the energy management at the city level, district level, it's not that easy to do, because then we have so many components. You recognize that it took about a month to know the component of the system and then relate them to the project goal and so on. So it's a complex system. And then we have to solve it in some way, and we have to deal with it in some way. And this is the whole course is about. So it's dealing with these complex energy systems, with breaking down the components, defining the system boundary and so on. I will come back to that one. Different parts, we had different lectures and different parts that we try to solve it: system thinking analysis, qualitative modeling, scenario and sensitivity analysis, cost-effective analysis. There were a lot of number crunching, and so we were talking with numbers. And this is one of the differences between this project that you were doing and then some of the other projects. I think this project adds to value because we always talked about numbers, and then we try to crunch the numbers. And then we did the economic analysis at the same time for that. And then also is a part about the business model innovation. It was a 6-credit course. I know that you were, Per talked about the course survey that we did with you, you were, I mean, like, at least during these last few years, you were quite happy with the course, but the common complaint is that this is only 6 credits, but we worked for perhaps 12 or 15 credits. And we know that, but you also try to also go to this business model innovation part and then try to see who pays for it and so on. Basically the course, this year we had 95 students and usually it's around 100 students that we have. It's an international master program, so you're a master student coming from all over the world. So basically, this is the first question that I asked when we started the course, if you remember. That was like, where are you from? So we are from like, you can see that all the continents, and also where is the educational background. So it's not the same. So we call ourselves energy engineers, but at the same time, you have a background in chemical engineering, electrical engineering, mechanical engineering, and then we come together and then we try to solve the problem. And even some of you are coming from the industrial economy program, so then that's also another background that we have. So, and then there are 18 groups, worked on 18 districts in Valencia. I will come back to that one. This is the map from one of the first years. I mean, this is like from the year that we were doing the project with Tokyo. So we just put the people on a map just to show that we are literally coming from all over the world. So that's, and then we start the course, as Per was mentioning, that was a little bit unconventional because we didn't start by lecturing. We started with rolling out the project. So, and then that was a mission that we had. So we had the city of Valencia this year, thanks to our project sponsors that are here. So basically, that was each group took one district, and that was the first week of the course that you started with that one. And then you took the district, and then the whole course was about how to achieve some goals for that specific district. So and then you work in a group of 5. So it was districts in city of Valencia, and then you had 2 given goals. And these 2 given goals, the first one was nearly zero energy district and nearly zero emission district. So, and then net should be removed. That was my mistake. We removed this net this year. So that's from last year. And what this nearly means, we didn't want you to just go and then cover the whole city by PV panels and then put tons of batteries and say that, we solved it by making it zero energy. We wanted you to go and then try to see what is possible technically and economically. So technically by knowing that is like the potential and also doing calculation economically. So then I hope that all of you will show that slide with the Pareto frontiers, that you show the trade-off. How close to zero can we get realistically? So that was one of the added value here, that is like we were doing it both technically and economically. And then we were showing that if we can get to zero energy or zero emission. So you had to reduce the primary energy demand, you had to increase the share of renewable energy, you had to reduce the CO2 emissions, and then each group had the one additional goal, and then this additional goal was defined by you yourself. So based on what you did as a preliminary study on each district, we were trying to find out what are the key pain points of that district. So the third KPI was defined by each group based on the key pain point in that district. So I just save your time that remember this nearly zero energy, nearly zero emission. That's a common goal between all the students, but each group has the third KPI defined by themselves, and then they're trying to reach that. And those could be water, waste, air pollution, urban heat island. This list that I put, it was from previous years. We will listen to you, what you did. So previous year projects, we were doing it before it was we were setting in a way that is like each group was even defining their own district. So we were putting some criteria about the population. This should be the population. And then It was fun also because we had, as you remember, that we were coming from all over the world, and then we had a bunch of Italians doing an Italian district, bunch of Greeks doing a Greek district. So that was one setting that we had. But then we did it for KTH campus. We did it for the different district in Stockholm city. But then we started since 2018 with another format that was this competition, and that's why we are here. So we hold a competition with the external sponsor, and then this was like a 2018. We did it with the help of a Japanese, Swedish company, plus the city officials in Tokyo. And then we did it on Tokyo, and then actually that was one group was supposed to go, and then we had the ambassador of Japan here, and then they liked it so much that they sponsored 2 groups, and then we went with 2 groups to Tokyo, Japan, and then we presented. I know that you're now just thinking that Tokyo could be more interesting, but we have Valencia, which is very interesting. 2019 was a town close to Shanghai, Meili town, and we did it with under sponsorship or direct sponsorship of the city officials in Meili town. So we went there, and then the winner group presented for the mayor of Meili. So that's a satellite city to Shanghai. 2020 was a district in India, but that was a pandemic year, if you remember. And then there was some difficulties, but we overcame. But then to 2021, it was a UPV campus. And that was like thanks to our colleagues here that was very nice to work on the university campus in Valencia. That's if I remember it right, is the 3rd largest university technical university in Spain, right? So, and then we were doing it on the campus. And then 2022, we did it for city of Valencia. This is the year, and then we will listen. So in Valencia, we have 19 districts, but we had 18 groups. We managed to get 19, but then one group jumped out, and then. So what the students have done within the project, 18 groups working in 18 districts. Today we listen only to 5. There were 13 also. Data processing involved in problem definition. So it was now ready technical solution. So you had to go to the problem and then find the solution for the problem. Qualitative and quantitative system modeling, scenario and sensitivity analysis, techno-economic analysis using different tools. That was a problem that we still have. I mean, with the things that we want to do, there is no magic tool that we can use. So we don't have our own tool. So what we had to do use different tools. I hope that some of you show every year we get that is like, you show how many tools you use. And like, sometimes you end up with 5 or 6. So IDEIS, Homer, Leap, SAM, and so many others that you're using, but to achieve the goal that we have. Thanks, and time to listen to the students.
Thank you, Hatef. For me, it sounds like a really, really interesting course to participate in for you. And I'm really excited to hear your presentations and then take part of, I think all projects has a poster outside later on, yeah. So we now have 10 minutes per project, including questions or, yeah. So which order have you decided for the projects?
You go to the project. Yeah, Cityand first. Yeah. Then group 2, group 4, 9, and all the presentations are there, so you just move to the next slide. You just move to the next.
Okay, sorry, before you start, as you know, this is also a competition, and we have the jury here today, and they will work hard after the presentation. So maybe you should just stand up and introduce yourself, the members of the jury. Very short.
Hello, everyone. Oh, sorry. Thank you. Hello, and hello, everyone. I'm Tomás Gómez from Technical University of Valencia in Spain. I'm also head of the Institute for Energy Engineering, and I'm looking forward to listening to what you have to tell us. Thank you for your work.
Hello, everybody. I'm Carla Montagut, and I am managing the chair of Energy Transition in Cities in collaboration with the City Hall of Valencia. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Yang. I'm the section manager for section HVAC and energy management in a Swedish consulting company called A3. So I was also here as a master and a PhD student. Nice to hear and listen to your presentation. Thanks.
Yeah. And yourself again. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, also Per Lundqvist, professor here. Yeah, thank you.
So please, the floor is yours.
Okay, so before starting, we can just say that we are 5 group members, but 3 of them are abroad. So only 2 of us are here in real life, but they are joining us through Zoom. Yeah. I don't know if you can see them, though, on the screen. If
You have to have Zoom on that computer too if they want to show up in the screen. So you have to do Zoom link on your computer as well, so we can see them on the screen.
Okay.
But then we risk. But we risk crashing.
Yeah, but if it crashes, that doesn't crash the.
Okay.
Just stop the Zoom. So.
Is there something wrong with the computer?
No, but sometimes the Zoom crashes, but it shouldn't matter because I'm running.
You can do some exercise for having low blood pressure. You're waiting.
Recording in progress.
You have to mute your sound from your computer. Wait.
So if you go back to the Zoom, Francis. cannot hear you. Okay, but then we can give you the presentation.
Okay, he's about to Okay, you cannot hear me.
No, but when I said your microphone should be cut off, not the sound out from the computer, the sound into your computer. Because when they are coming up in the loudspeaker and they go into your microphone, they go to the loudspeaker again and then the feedback. So your sound from your computer should go to the speaker system, but your microphone should not go to the Zoom.
Since the pandemic, the systems became like it's like being a pilot in a modern plane is too complicated.
Ser du, alltså där uppe, speaker, ska det vara den eller ska det vara om man klickar på if you...
Det är som det står så här audio. Alltså man ser mikrofon där. Eller jag vet inte vad du har. Ja. Men du har mutat din video där, men du ska muta ljudet ut. Eller från din.
Probably some of you have the microphone. No, there's no
Yes, hello. Can you hear us?
Every time they talk, you have to turn off the microphone.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay.
See what's happening if that's the one.
Okay. But no, this one was off all the time. This was off. I just turned it on. So that was not. Matilda, do you want to try?
If you turn off that, then we're not going to hear them talking.
Yeah. Okay. So like it's okay.
Yeah, we should try this before.
Every time. Hallå? Matilda, hör du? Yes, you can hear. Okay, we can't hear you. Perfect. I will try something else. I did not prepare this in my presentation.
Now she can talk to see what's happening.
Can you try speaking, Matilda?
Yes, I have her here. So I can hear her over my computer. So you should be able to hear her in your computer there also.
Yeah, so shall
Yeah. Take the level up then.
Would it be echo? No?
I mean, try. She can tell us what she had for breakfast today, so we have a fluent.
Please talk.
Continue speaking, like, continuously. You can, you can tell us about your day, Matilda, if you want to.
So you can start. When we talk to you, exit yourself.
I mean, I'm starting to think maybe it's better if just I and Ahmed can do the presentation.
No. I mean, it's gonna work. So let's.
Yeah, because we're not the only ones that are digital. But yeah, so we can start.
She will start or you will start?
Have you full screen? No.
Now she will start. Okay, please. Start. Can you start, Matilda?
Okay, you can start.
Now?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Can you hear me? Hello? Oh, you can hear us, but we can't hear you. So can I start? So, hello everyone. We are Hamed, Hailey, Matilda, Claire, and Flo, and today we will present to you our future vision for the historic city center, Ciutat Bella. Here is the agenda. We will introduce Ciutat Bella, house scenarios, modeling results, and analysis, involving the public and our final proposal. This is Valencia, and Ciutat Bella is located in the middle. When focusing on Ciutat Bella, this map shows that Ciutat Bella is in large covered by a special protection plan due to it being an historical center and having strong cultural value. This means no changes can be made to the aesthetic of the building. So, looking at our vision for the future of Sustainablevalencia, we focus largely on energy measures that do not change beyond inflation. So, in the transport sector, we evaluated the possibility to electrify the cars and buses, but also phasing out cars completely. We also want to decrease water treatment because our district has the highest water consumption of all districts. Lastly, the energy sector is a big challenge. In this district, it is recently built, and ordinary rooftop PV can only be built on 20% of the buildings. This is putting under constant citizens. Therefore, we looked into actively like in the district differentiation, and furthermore, accessibility of the use of biogas instead of natural gas, with the use of household-sized biogas meter has been evaluated. So here is a summary of our 4 KPIs. So the non-zero energy, very zero emission, nearly 100% waste to energy of organic waste, and finally the reduction of freshwater usage by 45% in order to place Ciutadella lower than the average consumption in Valencia.
Now these are Now, these are our 3 scenarios that we have studied. So the first one is our business as usual scenario, which we have named Gótico after the older buildings in the district. The second one is called Modernismo after the Valencian architectural style Modernismo Valenciano. And then lastly, the most advanced scenario is named Futuristico. So in Gótico, Ciutat Vella continues implementing current strategies, and measures in this scenario are LED lights, increased electric vehicles, as well as water conservation measures. Modernismo has more ambitious targets for all sectors, but the price for technologies remain high. Additionally, we have assumed that there will still not be any PV technology available that is customizable enough to be implemented on protected buildings. In Futuristico, we assume a further technological development as well as decreased technological prices, which cause more advanced PVs to be able to penetrate even the protected neighborhoods in Ciutat Vella. Additionally, we use small-scale biodigesters for local production of biogas. And in the transport sector, a big measure is phasing out cars completely, similarly to what they have done in Ghent in Belgium.
Okay. In the built environment, the energy demand was decreased by 5% in Gótico and by 24% in Modernismo and Futuristico. In the transport sector, this graph shows the energy demand between 2020 and 2030. In Gótico, the demand remains almost constant. In Modernismo, the electrification of cars leads to a decrease of energy demand. In Futuristico, we can see by phasing out cars, the energy demand will become almost zero, as we only keep public transport in the district. Regarding the drinking water, the Futuristico scenario achieves the highest percentage of production. However, solutions for this scenario are really extreme and costly. The KPI fixed a percentage of production of 45%. It can be achieved by the Modernismo scenario. This reduction can be done if every citizen of the district follows all the recommendations made by the government, plus the installation of dual flush in every bathroom. So when we look at the combined results from all of the sectors we mentioned, we have achieved a decrease of energy demand of 5% in Gótico, of 22% in Modernismo, and of 31% in Futuristico. The energy efficiency measures combined with the transition towards biogas instead of natural gas has led to a major increase in the total renewable fraction in Modernismo and Futuristico. And lastly, we can see that this all results in only a 2% decrease of emissions in Gótico, but 81% in Modernismo and 85% in Futuristico. So when we go back to the KPIs that we mentioned earlier, we can see that we have not reached any of the KPIs when we only use the current measures and strategies as in Gótico. In Modernismo, however, the nearly zero emissions and the reduction of use of freshwater are reached. And only in Futuristico we managed to achieve the waste to energy KPI. We can also see here that the nearly zero energy goal was not reached in any scenario, mainly because of the limits to the building stock in this district.
Yes, so here's an example of a Pareto chart that we use to pick the best solution in each scenario. This is the Pareto chart for the renewable energy fraction versus the net present cost in the futuristico scenario. And as you can see, all of our solutions are extremely costly, mainly due to the challenges in achieving higher energy efficiency and better water demand control in these old buildings. So when diving into the economic analysis, we can see that only Gotico is a profitable scenario. Like we mentioned, it's very expensive to retrofit old buildings and still keep their character. And one thing that should be mentioned is that we have not taken into account that the fact that 20% of the buildings that we retrofit are already in deficient state. So we should also consider the cost of not retrofitting these buildings, which could be a further development of the study to analyze the economics further. It is likely that neighborhoods like Ciutat Vella will struggle with achieving sustainable development while at the same time making profit out of it. Therefore, we also evaluated 2 possible economic instruments to aid the district with this. The leftmost bar is without any policies, the middle one is with the carbon tax, and the rightmost one is using both a carbon tax and subsidies for energy efficiency measures. This is of course simplified, and we have put in our own carbon tax and subsidies based on literature, but we can see how much of an impact this type of economic help can have.
Moving on to involving the people. Beside the economic help, there is actually our measures gonna have a great impact on the. Do you hear me? Yeah. Okay. Like we're gonna make the people make big investments and also change the way of their livings, right? So to make this reality, we cannot just assume that everyone will make just such drastic efforts. And what we've done is investigating ways and options to try to involve people to work together towards one future. And what we believe, at least, is that change should be wanted and existing. And there we see actually the youth and their parents come in the picture. The future belongs to young people with an education and imagination to create. And this might sound like a very hopeful quote by a former American president, but actually, when we looked into the research, there are a lot of studies that actually lifting or indicating the impact of educational institutions on both norms and views of their surroundings. And because they're very close to the local communities, school can actually have a great impact because they can use their environment to create opportunities for the students and their parents. Next slide, thank you. And briefly here we have a very interesting study done by Tel Aviv University. There we actually looking at the connections or how they could involve parents in the school. And the first thing is actually reaching out to the parents and tell them that or show them that their involvement is encouraged and have a great impact on their youths. Also, communication. We should have a great communication and clear to the parents. And finally, creating this environment where both student and their kids actually experience that this social closeness to each other and to the school. And using this framework to kind of like put both student and their parents in such environment to somehow like lift those questions about sustainability and also energy use will make the parents more likely to invest in such proposed solution that we're proposing. And we're fully aware that this is not the only way to reach out to people. There is a gap of people who are not students or people who are not parents. And Claire gonna tell us now how we're actually gonna reach or how we are aiming to fill this gap.
innovation. So for us,
Oh, wait, Claire, can you restart? We were muted, sorry.
okay, do you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so how can we reach out, communicating to society closeness to the development of our district besides education? So for us, the answer was through the internet, as it is where most communication are nowadays. So we therefore suggest the implementation of an application that we decided to call cityand. It could be a collaboration between the municipality, energy companies, schools, real estate owners, and local businesses. The application is especially directed towards the citizens of Sustainablevalencia and acts as a communications channel with information about their energy use, emission, facts about the building behavior, and suggestions about measures that can be taken to decrease their own energy and water consumption. Next one. Yeah. So in conclusion, the historical value of Sustainablevalencia and the protection of its buildings makes the challenge of reducing energy usage and emission very complex. However, the suggested measures are considered alternatives that can be implemented with the help of future technological investments, decrease in capital costs for solar PV, and subsidies with the help of external funding for the renovation of the built environment. In addition to the present measure for reducing water consumption and biodiversity that are considered economically feasible for our assumption, improvement can be made in Sustainablevalencia to work towards all our plans. Thank you very much for your attention.
Really interesting. Thank you very much. And as you can imagine, we are a little bit behind the schedule, but we will adjust it on the coffee break. And we have some issues on hybrid meetings, perhaps at KTH, but we're working on it. Yeah. So please, next team.
Should I start? Okay, hello everybody. We are group number 2, representing the district of Lake Sample in Valencia. So today our agenda is to present the work we've done this spring. This includes a brief overview of our energy modeling, the scenarios we've constructed as possible district futures, as well as a social and economic analysis. The purpose for this project was to explore the specific energy profile of our district and synthesize a collection of measures that could help Lake Sample become more sustainable. Understanding our district and what distinguishes it from the rest of Valencia is important if we want to achieve our purpose, which is to develop measures specifically suited to target the energy use and problem areas of our district. Some notable characteristics you can see on this slide. Lake Sample is a district with a high population density. It contains many specially protected architectural heritage buildings. It deals with a lot of motorized vehicle traffic. It has high amounts of air and noise pollution, and it is the district in Lake Sample with the highest rate of serious traffic accidents.
So we created 3 scenarios on the future of Lake Sample to analyze the different outcomes of our proposed measures. And we named them L'exitoso, L'excellente, and L'Excepcional. And they increase in this order in level of ambition. And we divided our proposed measures into the sectors of transport, built environment, and energy. In the transport sector, we focused on increasing the vehicle electrification and also making it easier to take the bike within the district. And for the built environment, much energy could be saved by insulating building shells, but also use more energy efficient appliances. So we also extended these measures to the most ambitious scenario, l'exceptional. And to generate energy within the district, one of the measures for the energy sector was to install solar PV panels. And this doesn't mean that we need solar PV panels on all possible rooftop area in this district, but also for those that are suitable for it. So including or taking into consideration both the inclination and orientation of the rooftop. And here we have the results of our first KPI, nearly zero energy. And we can see in our graph to the left how the amount of energy decreases as the scenarios become more and more ambitious. And this reflects the primary energy demand of l'exemple that was then not met by the energy within the district, or that was generated within the district. And then we have to the right the corresponding renewable energy fraction, meaning the fraction of electricity from the grid that comes from renewable energy sources. And as we can see, our most ambitious scenario, l'exceptional, has more than half of its energy sources that comes from these renewable sources.
We also did Pareto analysis to help us determine the optimal capacities for both solar PV and battery storage in the district for each scenario. This graph shows the results of that analysis for the most ambitious, l'exceptional scenario. The points are grouped in that way due to the search space that we used for both PV and battery storage, with the sharp increase reflecting the costs associated with additional battery storage for lower returns, especially when there's not very much solar PV. The point circled in red represents the result that we selected from this analysis for our scenario. You'll probably notice it's not the absolutely most economical result. However, it does allow us to reduce the energy with regard to KPI 2 by 10,000 megawatt hours per year at an additional net present cost of 46 million euros. We felt that this was justified given the positive economic indicators for the scenario, which will be presented in a couple of slides.
Yes, so here is the result from our second KPI, nearly zero CO2 emissions. And as you can see, it follows the same trend as for the energy use, where the l'exceptional scenario has the lowest emissions. And this is both due to the decrease in energy use, but also because of the electrification of cars and stoves, which has reduced the use of emission-dense fuels.
For the third KPI, besides measuring the motorized vehicle intensity, we also studied different factors that strongly relate to this value, such as bike intensity, noise pollution, traffic accidents. The map shows the streets in the example that have vehicle intensity data. In red, we have the current bike lanes, which safety is improved, and also the orange bike lane is added in a low traffic street in L'Exitoso. Then in l'excelente, the yellow bike lane is added, and in l'exceptional, the green one, and 2 pedestrian streets that are the dotted lines. So we choose the 6 busiest streets to show the changes for the different scenarios regarding the vehicle intensity and noise pollution. As you can see, in most of the cases, the reduction of traffic intensity was about 30 to 40%. And this translated into a noise pollution reduction of 2 to 3 decibels. Also, the bike intensity increased, and there is a study that, well, in the 3 scenarios, it almost tripled, and there is a study that shows that this reduces the traffic accidents between cars and bikes to half the amount. Then, regarding the economical analysis, using 6% as discount rate and 2% as inflation rate, considering a period from 2030 to 2050, the net present value resulted positive only for l'exceptional, with 283 million euros, and a payback period of 13 years. But we wanted to note that the real discount rate used was 3.2%, and if this rate would have been a little bit lower, l'excelente would also be a profitable alternative. And also, it is important to note that the economic indicators for all the scenarios, but especially for l'exceptional, are very dependent to the assumptions about the future prices of electricity and fossil fuels such as diesel and gasoline. And the assumptions that we made are not expected to be overly conservative or optimistic. But what we expect is that that the reality of the future of energy prices is unlikely to match exactly our assumptions, so maybe the results presented could change.
So an important part of achieving these KPIs will be fostering an energy culture with the citizens within the district of l'Exemple. And there's several ways that can promote the development of an energy culture. The first is making energy, which can be somewhat of an abstract concept for a lot of people, making it more visible and to increase their awareness of their usage and generation. One of our measures in particular that aligns with that is the use of smart energy meters in the built environment, which will help make it more visible. The next two, emphasizing material and practical ways of taking action. A good example of that for us is electric vehicle ownership and transitioning away from the traditional energy consumer model is very closely aligned with PVs. And what we mean there is the transition to a more prosumer model where citizens aren't just consuming energy but are more involved in the generation as well. And both electric vehicles and solar PV are tangible examples as well of citizens being able to take ownership of parts of the energy infrastructure in a new way, which will help promote the energy culture as well. Finally, the integration of PV, electric vehicles, smart energy meters, as well as other measures that we have proposed, will help promote engagement across the differing lifestyles and social groups that you would find in a district like l'Exemple.
It's important to think about what capacity our residents have for change and what could even out the differences. L'Exemple is the district with the lowest rate of energy poverty, the highest rate of both gas and electricity consumption, and we have some of the highest housing prices in all of Valencia. And with these factors used as proxies for wealth, we can conclude that our residents are probably quite wealthy. So perhaps they have a larger moral obligation to go the extra mile compared to other districts. Nevertheless, we would recommend making the bigger investments more competitive and easily available compared with conventional technologies. Additional subsidies of EVs or feed-in tariffs for solar PV owners could speed up the diffusion of these technologies. And they could be partially financed by taxes from polluting technologies, which is a bonus-malus system. This is, for example, how Norway achieved EV success. More than 60% of new sold cars are electric in Norway because of this bonus-malus system. Even then, these technologies are not necessarily needed to make a change. Changing from driving a gasoline car to riding a bike to work is one of the most cheap and efficient ways of reducing both energy use and emissions. And constructing high-quality bike lanes ensures that all residents can access this low-cost solution.
Yes, and in conclusion, we can see that the more ambitious scenarios are also the most cost-effective for l'Exemple as a whole. And we would therefore recommend our most ambitious scenario, l'Exceptional, both since it gets the districts closer to achieving all the KPIs and since the economic parameters are more favorable for that scenario. And if we take all the costs from the l'Exceptional scenario and divide it by everyone living in the district, there would be an investment cost of 11,022 euros per person. And this includes all the solar module, building renovations, new cars, divided by everyone living there. And as everyone has seen, even our most ambitious scenario didn't fully accomplish all the KPIs, but we have found some measures that Valencia could do on a citywide basis, such as district cooling and municipal solid waste incineration, that could further help to better accomplish all the KPIs. And that was all for us. I don't know if we have time for questions. No?
Thank you very much. We will soon hear the third one. I wonder if it's also competition about the names of the scenarios here. So please, group 3.
Clear sound? We can start? Okay. Hello everyone. We are glad to present today our future vision of the district Campanar. This is our team, Eleanor, Emily, Hilary, Maxwell, and me, Ira. Let's start. The main problems of the district is the fossil fuel dependency, quite old buildings, and waste utilization system. The opportunities of the district, agricultural lands and zoos, big shopping malls, hospitals, and a lot of parking lots. To continue with KPIs, KPI 1 and KPI 2 were given in the project, and we choose KPI 3 based on the problems of waste utilizations and opportunities of agricultural resources. So we try to collect the bio-waste and bioproduct from all sectors and produce biogas. And meet up with our scenarios. As you can see, we are all in yellow, and we took citrus fruits. All of this because citrus is one of the main crops in our district, and we wanted to stick with this theme. So, the first scenario, mandarina, assumes that Campanar continues to work according to current policies and plans. Whereas the second scenario, Lima, addressed the low-hanging fruits of Campanar with focus on easily attained targets and measures. Taronja, the most ambitious scenario, goes beyond the low-hanging fruits, representing greater possibilities for Campanar in order to reach the set KPIs and strive towards being a sustainable district. Let's take a deeper look into all the scenarios.
All right, so now we want to go into the measures that we use to create our scenarios. The circles that you see represent to which extent the measures were implemented by 2050. In Mandarina, we use current policies, mainly relating to electrification of transport, as well as energy efficiency measures in the built environment, but we wanted to build onto this. We expanded our vision with a broad focus on effective use of resources, using both the opportunities present in our district, as well as the ongoing energy crisis that happened parallel to our project. So 2 main focus areas arose from this. The first one was waste to energy, and the second one was local renewable electricity production. We want to bring your focus to our most ambitious scenario, Taronja. In this scenario, we utilize waste from 3 sectors and convert it to biogas. This biogas is used for the buses in order to entirely phase out diesel buses in our district. We also looked at mobility measures such as electric car sharing and cycling, taking advantage of the fact that Campanar is a hub of commercial centers and hospitals, which makes it the perfect conditions for these measures to thrive.
Okay, so moreover, Campanar has very favorable conditions for rooftop PV due to the high share of commercial buildings in the district with large flat rooftops, as well as a lot of residential rooftops. In addition to this, Campanar is also the district with the highest share of real estate used for parking, creating very good opportunities for solar PV, installing solar PV in spaces that are currently not living up to their full potential. With full utilization of the available areas in the district, it's possible to install a total capacity of 33 megawatt. Furthermore, regarding the built environment, all buildings were included and the sector was entirely electrified. And a result of these energy efficiency measures gave a 44% decrease in energy demand in 2050 compared to the base year.
All right, so after implementing the previously mentioned measures, we obtained these final results for our KPIs and our different scenarios. As you might see, we have expressed these as percentages, indicating how close we are to achieving our KPIs. So for our first KPI, we managed to decrease, we managed to decrease our emissions by 84% in our most ambitious scenario. These are represented by the oranges on the top. This equates to emissions of about 1 ton of CO2 equivalents per capita by 2050. And just to give you some perspective on this, the average emissions in Spain in 2019 were of 5 tons of CO2 emissions, CO2 equivalents per capita. Sorry. And on to our second KPI, here we managed to decrease our total primary energy by 64%. And we also increased the primary renewable energy fraction to 80%. And lastly, on our very own KPI, we estimate that we can convert nearly 91% of the bio-waste resources in Campanar into useful energy in the form of bio-waste.
An economic analysis was made on solar PV, the built environment, the biodigester, and EV chargers to consider if the technologies and measures are economically feasible. The total net present value is seen to increase with increasing ambitiousness of the scenarios. Starting at a negative value in Mandarina due to the high costs in the built environment and reaching positive and higher net present values in our own scenarios. And this is due to the increasing benefits in terms of electricity and biogas production. As a consequence of the negative net present value, the discounted payback period is infinitely large in Mandarina, which means that it never pays off. However, in Lima, the discounted payback period is around 8 years, and in Taronja, it is around 6 years, meaning that both of them have less than half of the project's lifetime, which therefore is a good indicator. And the lowest cost per capita is observed in Lima with around 1,300 euros per person, followed by Taronja's 2,200 euros per person. It is the highest in Mandarina, which is due to the comparatively high initial investment costs in the built environment. Okay, but how do we actually realize these results? To foster a better energy culture in Campanar, the citizens play a key role, but the city needs to lead the way. Our target areas, impacting everyday life of the citizens, are recycling and mobility. To obtain these improvements, it is of importance to prioritize accessibility, low-cost alternatives, as well as increasing the awareness of the people. One proposal to involve the citizens targeting mobility is a biking competition between the districts of Valencia. This would promote biking for shorter trips instead of taking the car, and would be done by an app tracking the number of bike rides, as well as connecting the citizens to their associated district. This way, the citizens can be involved in an important movement, as well as striving towards a new energy culture.
All right, we talked about mobility. Let's move on to recycling. So another way in which we want to encourage a new energy culture in Campanar is through our business model. We believe it's a good example of how market solutions can provide a change in society. We propose offering a reward on public transport in order to incentivize sorting bio-waste and bringing it to the collection sites. This waste is then converted into bio-CNG, as you know by now, used in the buses. And this way we provide cheap, clean, and locally produced fuel for the transport system. Through economies of scale, we can decrease the cost of fuel and partially fund this reward system. We propose a business model that encourages citizens to participate in this new movement and energy culture of Campanar. We call it Vale Waste.
And to finalize our presentation, we would like to leave you with some reflections and some recommendations as well. As seen from the results, we have managed to make some pretty significant improvements in our targeted areas. However, this is not enough. And moving forward, we have to work harder in order to achieve our goals. And for this, we need to implement efficient regulations. And we need to make it easy for the citizens of Campanar to recycle. And also, we need to create strong and reliable frameworks to encourage not only companies, but also the common citizen of Campanar to invest in rooftop PV. And whether this is through self-consumption or net metering or any other scheme, they all have to have some things in common. And they need to be reliable, they need to be streamlined, and also they need to be profitable. And hopefully we have provided you with some ideas through our business model and our discussions on energy fostering on how we can involve the people. Because to achieve our goals, everyone has to be on board on this transition. And we need to empower the citizens of Campanar to create a just and sustainable future for everyone. Muchas gracias. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Unfortunately, I don't think we have time for questions now either. Thank you very much. A big hand again. So we have 2 presentations left, right? That means that the break will start 22 to 22:03. 22:03. Yeah. So please, group 4. Is it you? Yep.
All of you here or just hybrid? Two people. 2 people on Zoom. And who will start from here? Yeah.
Hello, everyone. After seeing this, I know what you're wondering about. Largest public urban solar plant in Spain? Yes, that's right. That's what we have planned to build. There was a large green area in the center of urban populated district with a designation called symmetry. So we have planned to utilize that symmetry by building 7,000 PV panels with a capacity of 2.8 megawatt. And now, are you curious about what the district is? To be honest, we are really blessed with a district named Yes, Jesus. Yes. In our project, we have designed a proposal to make smart and sustainable Valencia by 2030 with our main focus on District Jesus. So and these are my wonderful teammates, Sudhi and Jimmy, and myself, Teja, who are present here, and Eric and Tian Zong are going to attend online. This is our agenda for today's presentation. There are 4 scenarios in different sectors, and what and how did we achieve all the 3 KPIs with economic analysis, business models, and community engagement to make smart and sustainable JSS by 2030.
In Jesus, there are 25,000 apartments of around 100 square meters each on average, with over half of them built between 1960 and 1980. There is much that can be done within the buildings, which consist almost exclusively of apartments, to increase energy efficiency. For the policy scenario, we have an 8% reduction of energy usage, which is done through energy programs with the aim of supporting energy efficiency. For example, the main electrical appliances where there is most potential for energy savings are freezer, with an energy reduction of 400 kilowatt per year and apartment, going from C class to A class in energy certification. And that also means a reduction of cooling. For the reasonable scenario, there is a 24% reduction of energy usage. In this scenario, more investments is needed compared to the policy scenario. In the policy scenario, the changes can be done, for example, when the old products breaks down and the new products needs to be replaced. The measures included here include the outphased boilers and electrification and solar thermal panels. In the most ambitious scenario, a reduction of 30% of total energy use and a reduction of 50% CO2. Before, we also had the improvement of U values, like free pane windows and insulation, but that was found to be very cost ineffective and could be only replaced if needed. This lowered the investment cost a lot. As said, there are 25,000 apartments, so even small changes can be make a huge difference. Of course, there is a motivation needed for the residential people to invest in energy-saving measures, which are taken up later in the business model. Here are all the energy efficiency measures that we have implemented. As told, in each of the scenarios, there are different measures included. Here's a list of them. For example, a central heat pump distributes the cooling and heating through wall panels in the apartments, similar to radiators, reducing the need for portable AC and increasing the efficiency. In the ambitious scenario, we also have the borehole heat pumps, which needs to be further investigated on each area. And also, not so much of the energy measures can be generalized to all of the apartments. They need to do like energy audits in each of the apartments to find the small changes that can be done. Yeah, and here we can see the investment per capita and payback period for the suggested solutions.
Yes, waste incinerator. We came up with waste incinerator because our district mainly imports electricity from outside. So to tackle the issue of imported electricity and heat, we came up with waste incinerator. And the incinerator provides a district heating of 140 and 230 kilowatt and electricity of 70 and 115 kilowatt in both reasonable and ambitious scenarios. So we also did the economic analysis, but here you can see the capex and opex of the incinerator with a payback period of 13 years.
Contribute around 15% of the total CO2 emission in current state. In Jesus district, the CO2 emission is around 43,000 tons in this year. There are about 22,000 passenger cars on the road, half are gasoline cars, and the other half are diesel cars, but there are just a few EV around 70. In the policy scenario, the energy policy review of Spain made by IEA disclosure a rough number of EV in Jesus is about 6,000 by 2030. And on the other hand, it also disclosure on an objective of a reduction on oil consumption in transport sector by 23% compared to the current account. In order to achieve the target of 31% emission reduction, so correspondingly, the number of the fossil fuel cars are roughly cut down by 23%. The simulation ran late software, but however, the CO2 emission only decreased by around 23%, which is around 34,000 tons. It means the target cannot be achieved. Next slide, please. To achieve this target, the number of EVs is further increased to 7,000, and the number of the fossil fuel cars is decreased by to 4,000. Then we got a reduction of 34% on CO2 emission. In an ambitious scenario, we aim to replace passenger cars by sharing cars. Since Jesus is a small district, but it has a total of 25,000 cars, which is not sustainable at all, and it contributes a large amount of CO2 emission. A change in this sector will make a big difference. So a car is in average use only 10% of the time. That makes a good possibility for increasing the total amount of the cars through a car sharing network. It is assumed that one shareable car can replace 5 cars, according to a study done by Transport and Environment. In the current state, there is around 25,000 cars, which means a reduction from 25,000 cars to nearly 5,000 cars, which is a large reduction. For long distance trip, we also take the hybrid car into consideration. As a result, we got a 65% reduction of CO2 emission. So let's move on to the electricity part.
Yes. Yeah, by knowing all the demand from the building sector, transport sector, and waste incinerator, we can move to the electricity part. We know that currently, most of the electricity is imported from Valencia grid. We looked into Google Maps and we found that there is one existing PV panel in Jesus district with a capacity of 44 kilowatt, and we were trying to simulate with helioscope and gave us the annual production of 41.23 megawatt hour electricity. And then we built our scenario for the electricity. Next slide, please. As you can see, this is the map of the Jesus district. We try to create a model or a zoning system in our district. As you can see, there are 13 zones in which every zone can be installed 1.02 megawatt electricity. From the helioscope, we found that the annual production is around 1.2 gigawatt per zone. So S1 represents the policy scenario. Is around 50% of the zone will be covered by rooftop solar PV, and the reasonable scenario will be 70%. And in the ambitious scenario, we're aiming to cover 100% of the rooftop as mentioned in this zone. And on the right-hand side, it's a wind turbine zone. As you can see, there are 4 zones that we are doing, and we simulating all the results with the Homer Pro, as you can see in the very right-hand side. There are solar PV and wind, and also incinerator. Next slide.
Nearly zero energy. It can be seen from graph that Jesus still relies on electricity and fossil fuel energy in the current state. Almost the entire energy demand is met by electricity from the grid and fossil fuel, which is imported from other regions. Since some measures were introduced in the different scenarios, the consumption on electricity and fossil fuel can be decreased, and our own electricity production will increase in different levels. Then we got the result on energy reduction, 20% in policy scenario, 12% in policy scenario, 20% in reasonable scenario, and 42% in ambitious scenario. Next slide, please. And so the KPI2, nearly zero CO2 emission, it can be seen from the graph that significant amount of CO2 coming from the electricity sector in current state, followed by transport and building sector. In the policy scenario, due to the higher penetration of renewable energy in Spanish national grid and the implementation of EVs, we can see a larger reduction of CO2 emission here. But in other 2 scenarios, since the incinerator is introduced, the CO2 emission are not decreased significantly. Let's move to the KPI 3.
So the third KPI targets Valencia's high waste landfill rates. And the planned waste incinerator would use 60% of mixed waste generated within Jesus, and it would be 100% of mixed waste in the ambitious scenario. There is currently a PAN system in Valencia for plastic bottles and tin cans, but it has not gained popularity. So in the policy scenario, we would make significant efforts to make the PAN system more attractive for individuals and citizens in Valencia. In the reasonable scenario, glass bottles, so the green containers, would be included in the PAN system. In the ambitious scenario, the PAN system would include the option to receive cash or get a discount coupon as here in Sweden. There is currently a plan to install smart bins in place of yellow and green containers in the northern and southern regions of Valencia to detect the fullness of the containers. These kind of similar like wireless sensors would be installed in place of yellow and green containers in Jesus in the reasonable scenario, and in the ambitious scenario it would be included in all of the segregation containers, like the refuse containers in Jesus.
Moving on the economic analysis. We are showing you economic analysis of reasonable scenario in this picture. As you can see, there are two graphs. On the left is the LCOE, levelized cost of electricity, in the y-axis, and in the x-axis is renewable energy fraction, and on the right is NPV versus renewable energy fraction. For the reasonable scenario, the investment that we are estimated is around 96 million euro with the benefit of 22 million, with the benefit cost ratio of 1.823 and NPV of 114 million euro. And since in Jesus there are around 52,000 people, we estimated that the cost per person is around 2,000 euro. And in this picture, we are showing you the cost for each of the scenario. As you can see, the policy scenario will cost less than 1,000 euro per person, whereas in the reasonable scenario will cost around 2,000 euro per capita, and in the ambitious scenario, the investment will cost around 4,000 euro per capita, because there are around 52,000 people in Jesus district. Next.
Okay, for the business model, we are almost done. In the mobility sector, the implementation of shareable cars is a big part of our suggested solution, and involves a lot of aspects to get it working. But in short, it will provide access to variable shareable transport options, easily accessible, and to cover all the transport need. Economic instruments could be indirected through the shareable options, like having free parking spaces for the shareable cars. The key benefits of this means less pollution, fewer parking spaces needed, and easier parking. And last but not least, the shared solutions reduces the investment cost for the transformation to EV cars that are currently quite expensive. The sort of these shareable options could be the building, like the building cooperatives, small-scale shareable cars option could also be mandatory for the building corporations, and either as part of a monthly fee or an additional monthly cost. Yeah, we can continue with the community engagement.
I think you need to.
Okay, yeah, we need to. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Last but absolutely not least, group number 5. I must say already now you were able, all the groups, to present very complex, a lot of information in a short period of time. Very impressed already now. You're alone physically, and your rest of the group are here?
Yeah, physically I'm alone, unfortunately. We have 2 people sick, 2 people abroad. But yeah, I think we can do it like this. And yeah, Unfortunately, we're also not going to win the competition for the most creative scenario names, but yeah, we'll see. Should I just mute myself? I'm going to be the third person presenting.
You're going to be the only person.
No, the others are going to do it online.
So
They
you will
won't
start or they
No, they start.
Okay, please start.
Zine? Zine, can you start?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Hi everyone. We are Group 11 and we have the Complex Management District. Next slide, please. Complex Management covers about 10 kilometers square. It is home to about 56,000 people and has more than 2,000 buildings. Some of the challenges in complex management include heavy reliance on fossil fuels, water scarcity, which is likely to become a challenge not only in complex management, but in Valencia in general. Then there's also fuel poverty, social issues such as high unemployment rate, inefficient and deteriorating buildings, as well as cultural heritage, where 30 to 60% of buildings are protected and limit the measures that can be implemented. Next slide. So the transformation measures implemented and explored are solar PVs, energy storage, heat pumps, retrofitting of buildings, and super blocks, which reroute and reduce traffic as well as increase area for socioeconomic activities. We've also implemented green roofs and have looked into ways of meeting the water demand for green roofs through desalination and bulk harvesting. So this project has 3 scenarios, business as usual, moderate, and vision. Starting off with buildings, changes were made by adding usual and then advanced refurbishments, and green roofs were added in the moderate and vision scenarios. In the bow scenario, we don't replace any of the boilers, but then all of the boilers are replaced with heat pumps in the vision scenario. Solar PVs first cover 0.4 megawatts of the electricity demand, which is then increased to 100%. The share of electric vehicles starts at 28%, which is then increased to up to 80%. And as for the super blocks, they cover 25% of the district area in the moderate scenario, which is then increased to 50%.
Yeah. Sorry. We have 4 key performance indicators. The first 2 ones should already be known to everybody. The third one is called public and natural spaces. It is aiming for an increase of 100% in public and natural spaces in Poblats Maritimes. This is closely connected to a lot of benefits for the people living in Poblats Maritimes, such as improved mental and physical health and increased nature connectedness. KPI 4 is an opponent or a contrast to KPI 3. And here the goal is, even though we're increasing the green spaces in Poblats Maritimes, we do not want to increase the water stress in the Valencia region. KPI 1 is called nearly zero energy. And here we achieve an 84% reduction in net energy flows over the borders of Poblats Maritimes. This is achieved by installation of up to 77 megawatts of solar PV capacity. We have decided not to include any batteries in the district because even though it increases the autarky in the district, it is very expensive. Also, we have achieved a 27% reduction in energy demand through retrofitting and green roofs. KPI 2 is called nearly zero emissions, and here we achieve an almost 80% reduction in emissions from Poblats Maritimes. The most important emission-saving measures are changes in the electricity and heating system and in the transport sector. We can also see in the graph that there's a small, or to a small extent, a reduction through green roof sequestration.
green and public areas and public alternatives, and by implementing a superblock concept. However, the energy savings for just green roof, not multi-purpose green roofs, don't account for the costs. For example, 50% of the roofs are covered, which is 65,000 square meters. That would cost 1.2 billion euros per year. Superblocks leads to a major increase in public area within the district, which benefits are hard to quantify. Example, health, life quality, and increased economical activities, which comes from the superblock concept. The goal was 100%, and since already existing green and public area are quite much, they sum up to 500,000 square meters. It was quite an ambitious goal, but we reached up to 76%. Next slide. In both scenarios, the additional water demand for the green roofs and superblocks are fully provided by new water sources. By installing green roofs and meeting increased water demand by desalination, KPI 4 is met. Therefore, green roof does not increase the additional water stress, but it is at a cost. And this cost depends on which type of green roofs and plant species chosen, as well as the cost of the water. And water demand for green roof can be reduced and even avoided by choosing the right set of plants. And desalination seems to be cheaper than fall harvesting, but we suggest it should be tested at a small scale to rule out remaining uncertainties.
So our investment analysis here can be summarized in the graph to the right. You can see that our vision scenario offers a positive net present value, but it also requires some larger initial investments. And several of our measures seem to be cost efficient. These are summarized in the bottom right. And also superblock financials have not been analyzed due to too many and too large uncertainties. And in the bottom left graph, you can see the investment cost per capita. And we think that a relevant comparison here would be the 1,200 euro difference between business as usual and efficiency. Next slide. So, our business case is possible with the proven benefits of combining solar PV and green roofs and combined with an adapted superblock model. And apart from the many values that can be offered, it's important to consider how to practically implement these measures. And as districts suffers from pure poverty, might lack economic resources, we think that the municipality would likely play a key role in offering economic incentives. And similarly, for the historical heritage and charm of the district, especially Cabranial, requires some kind of consideration in large-scale measures. And to solve this, we think that communication channels with the local citizens are important, and more of this in the next slide. So briefly, involving the citizens require understanding their needs, preferences, attitudes, and concerns, while also showing a genuine consideration and care for the citizens and their time. The communication should be continuous. It should go both ways, and you should use different types of channels that like. And only using online communication has a drawback of creating some digital divides that would exclude people from participating. And this would be an innovation, but it seems like a bit versatile. But we have gathered the most important ideas in a research-based quick guide on how to involve citizens, which we will attach both to the presentation file and to the poster. Next slide. And I'm currently living in Valencia, so I took the chance of going down to the street and asking some locals about their opinions about the energy challenges and also how to propose solutions. And most people here spoke not only English, but we got some general opinions. And first, the solutions to improve people's living standards, since for many years it's a difficult economic situation. And second, solutions like green roofs and solar, for example, should mainly be communicated to the whole communities, and these are likely to need economic incentives like solar. And third, people are generally open to solutions, but they also want to have their needs. That's fine.
So we also need to discuss some things. So, for example, financial variables are not up to date or accurate anymore. For example, the gas prices, which rose quite recently. Also, that electricity pricing might not be up to date anymore. And we also assumed electricity sellback of 0, which might also need to be updated. Furthermore, because of the financial difficulties, we need to prioritize socioeconomic benefits and also need to include the citizens in our decision making. Next slide, please. We can conclude that we have enough area to implement multi-purpose green roofs. So we had a look into cultural heritage protection, and it seems that we can have sufficient area to implement our solutions. We also suggest a pilot study for the multi-purpose green roofs, including the forecasting and the super blocks. We need to consider the cultural heritage, which is not only the protection of the roof area space, but also which is like a public opinion, which we need to consider. So people want to protect their cultural heritage. We need to make a strategy for community involvement, where we include the citizens. And also it's recommended that we do a financial re-evaluation because of the changed parameters. And one thing which we can definitely say is highly recommended is the solar power program, because this showed big financial benefits. Thank you for your attention, and we're open to questions.
Thank you very much. A lot of things to digest, not least for the jury. And the rest of us and the jury, of course, should also take part of the process now. Maybe we should use the word of unconventional learning that got from Per before. So I and Hatef agreed to adjust the time a little bit, that we back here 3:30. So the jury gets another 15 minutes at least. So a break. First a round to all the posters, bring some coffee and so on, and then we regroup and
the jury meets here, and then we will be back with everybody at 3:30 to declare the.
Okay. So everything's clear. Thank you.